Good morning and hello. Welcome to Sweethaven Homestead. I'm Michael. If you've caught a few of our videos that we did early on in the summer of 2018, you'd also know that around here in the homestead I'm called Poppy. So today is the 8th of February 2019, and for me personally it's a pretty significant day. I retired from the Royal Canadian Navy yesterday after 35 years, 9 months service to Canada's Navy, both coasts, over the years. So yeah, it's a pretty significant milestone in my life, and it also means it's time to get serious about building and taking care of our homestead. So a little bit of a background about our family. We moved here in the summer of 2018. We're living near Smiths Falls, Ontario, Eastern Ontario. We were fortunate enough to find a 95-acre farm along the Rideau River, and we've moved in. It had a 3-bedroom house, and my daughter Rebecca, her husband Mark, their 3 children, Ashlyn, Mac, and Finnegan, have taken that home, and my wife and I, Mary, we're building a new addition, which is where I'm standing right now. It's a fairly windy day today, so I think it's a little easier for me to try and get some video footage of the property from inside the home. The home that we're building has basically the shell of the house built, the exterior walls, the roof, and we got one window in. We had some friends here available to help a couple weeks ago, so the largest window, the picture window for the living room, we had some help to install it, so we installed that window. This is the view from the window. You can see we're looking south across the pasture land. That's between there, and as we pan eastward a little bit over that way, we have about, we figure about 32 or 33 acres of pasture land, give or take a bit. That small body of water you can see with the ice on it in the distance, that's actually a part of the Rideau River. And the forest on the other side is actually the Punamali Lock, part of the Rideau Canal lock system. I'll just show you a little bit here in the house. You can see from through the window there, there's some floor joists for our deck that we're building on the house. So as I said, we have just the shell of the house built, really. The exterior walls and the necessary, to provide the necessary support for the roof. Back in the fall, we had hoped to get the house weather tight before winter, the freeze set in, so that I could work on the house inside without freezing. That didn't happen. We had some trouble getting contractors, and then winter set in early this year. And so we were brought to a standstill. Spring is coming, so we're going to start back to work this coming Monday. We're going to carry on installing windows and start putting in the interior walls, getting the strapping on, so on and so forth, to get the house built. Kind of excited about that. It's a pretty straightforward design for a house. Maybe one of the other videos I'll show you a set of plans. Basically, it's going to be a 2-bedroom, 1 master with an ensuite, a spare, a open kitchen, living room, dining concept. There'll be a full basement, which is really only going to be necessary for utility space. And there's going to be a corridor between our house and the house that Mark and Rebecca and the kids are living in. It's going to run across the back of the garage between the 2 houses, so that we'll have the 2 homes actually joined. The idea is actually to have one really large, comfortable house with basically an in-law suite. We're going to share electrical and water, share the utilities that we can share. We have a large wraparound deck. I'll step outside in a minute and just have a look at that. Normally, I don't think you'd probably build the deck on a house this early in the construction, but as you can see, the post in the frame there, they're required to support the roof overhead, the beams in the roof overhead. So it was kind of necessary to put the deck on, or at least the framing of the deck, so I could get those upright supports for the roof beams. So just coming out onto the back wraparound deck, as you look out over the field there, you can see quite a bit of ice between the house and the barn. Well, it's late winter and midwinter, I guess, in eastern Ontario, and ice and moisture is not uncommon, I gotta tell you. So the deck here, yeah, so you can see as we go along, it's a full 8-foot covered deck, and the idea is it'll wrap around the entire house, give us full covered exterior space to go to and enjoy. Obviously the view, and also the rain. My wife and I, Mary, we had lived here in eastern Ontario a couple times before. I was with the Royal Canadian Navy, and so the Navy moved us here in the eastern Ontario region a few times. So we're somewhat familiar with the weather, and we know that the eastern Ontario has really good thunder and lightning storms. And so part of my retirement is to hopefully sit out of an evening or when the storm's happening and enjoy the storm without actually being in it. So yeah, the wraparound covered deck was kind of an ideal scenario. Here's a better view showing the eastern side of the property, looking towards Smiths Falls. And the forest you can see here in the near ground, that's also part of our land. But like I said earlier, we have 95 acres in total, so we're figuring about 32, maybe 33 acres of pasture land, maybe 50 to 55 acres of woodland, and then the rest is actually wetland, marsh that goes around the edge of the river, which of course is protected and which we want to protect. Here's a view up the eastern side of the house under construction. I laid up a bunch of deck boards. Like I said earlier, I was working hasty, trying to get the house closed in before the weather turned, so rather than finish up, the full decking and all of that, I just put enough deck boards down so that we could get on with getting the exterior walls built and then get the roof on. And yeah, so now I got to go back and finish all this proper decking, get that done. And looking across the front of the property here's the deck that goes across the front. Quite a bit of not quite a bit, but a bit of the roofing material left over from when the metal roof was put on. And a view of where the garage is separating the two houses sits. And a bit more about these guys later, but looking off further to the west, you can see Ace on the left and Bruce on the right. There are two livestock guardian dogs, and the little shelter there is the current home for the sheep. Whew. It's windy and cold. All right, so the barn. The barn is a mess, to say the least. We moved in, and it's two families, and one of us, my wife and I, are living in the basement of the main house while we build the addition, and so a lot of our stuff just got put in here for both homes, really. So a lot of space taken up. And of course, we didn't really have the time to prepare the barn for use in that capacity, so things have kind of just accumulated and gotten to be a bit messy. We have to take the time and get this place organized and squared off to be some sense of usability. One of the first things we bought when we moved in was this old John Deere 510 tractor. Gentleman over in Embrun, Eastern Ontario, was selling it. We think it was built in 1968. It's not entirely certain because the different components have different dates on it. But anyway, we like her. We wish she had a bit of a front end loader on her, but just the same, it still works with our equipment, pulls our mower and our rake and our baler, so we were able to get use of it. Over here, we have Miss Rebecca is out feeding the livestock, trying to get her chores done before the sun goes down and it gets dark. That, of course, always takes it takes a bit of time. We have a barn cat. His name's Yoda. He hangs out, well, I think actually I can get a shot of him. Bit of a Harley cat, kind of a snob. If you look on the seat of the Harley Davidson there, you'll see him curled up. He likes to sleep there. It doesn't really matter how cold it gets. He curls right up, and he kind of took a liking to that spot right away. So, being the softy I am, I didn't cover the bike, so the Harley cat would have a place to hang out, and well, she seems to like it. So there you go. It'll be all right. We'll get all the dust cleaned off the Harley come spring and get it all sorted out. She's a good mouser, that's for sure. She's done quite a bit of hunting and gathering of the mice, that's for sure. All right, have a look at the livestock here now. On the livestock side of the barn. So we have a few folks. We have, of course, the goats. I believe those are Swiss. I believe. Unfortunately, Rebecca's not here. She knows all the ins and outs of them. We've got the 4 alpacas. You can see those fellows over there. One of them's a pretty good spitter, apparently. None of them have spit at me yet, but then again, I haven't spent the time around the homestead because I was working every day like everyone else. So maybe I'll get to find out soon enough. And we have 3 of the Angora goats. I believe they're pure, or pretty near pure. There's 1, 2. I'm not sure where the third one has gotten to. We'll just have a quick look around in the stalls and maybe around the back side of the feed. Oh yes, back there I see a little tail sticking out. There we go. Hiding out right there, number 3. And yeah, the 3 Angora goats, they're pretty snobby. When we got them in the mid-late summer, they kind of came as a group and they hung together. They were kind of bullying some of the other goats and sheep that we have, and so we had to do some social rearranging of the animals to make sure everybody got along harmoniously. Yes, say hello. Yes, say hello. Yeah, you like that, don't you? Yeah. Yes, sir. You gotta have a snack. Cool evening snack. Yes. Look at you. Have a sniff. No, you don't want to eat the camera, though. Yeah. They're really kind of cute. I haven't taken the time to get to know them. Like I say, I haven't been around as much, so, but they're a lot of fun to watch, and it's a lot of fun to watch the social interaction of the critters. Now, most what we're looking at here are enterprises and activity my daughter is particularly interested in, Rebecca. She wants to do dairy goats, which are good, which are important. She wants to do the fiber from the alpacas, yes, and the fiber from the Angora wolves, from the Angora goats. So this is what she's kind of taken on as first start to the farm. I'm just noticing here that the back barn door is not hooked on. is not good on a windy day in particular. These are sliding doors, and if the wind ever gets under one of these doors, it will well, it'll be just like a sail on a boat, frankly, and it'll just lift it right off, and we'd lose the door and probably damage the barn, certainly damage the hardware that it holds on with. And we wouldn't want that because, well, they're pretty sizable. I'd say 10 by probably 12 maybe in height, and you know, that would, if those got ripped off at the glides at the top, it would be a real difficult pain in this weather to have to fix that. So thankfully nothing bad has happened there. Our plan here with this barn, it doesn't have a loft. I believe the last residents of the farm, the folks who I believe they built the barn, they kept cattle in here, and so I guess they didn't have need of a loft, so they never did put one in. But mind you, if you look at the upper end there's a door up above for bringing in presumably hay. So I think perhaps they had the intention of putting a loft. It's our plan. If all goes well, we'll put up a loft right above the whole area and use it for storage of hay. I guess the big thing today in hay production is those large, round, giant marshmallow type bales that folk use. So when we started getting into it, we weren't really sure of the investment and time, and money and time and all that it's going to take. So we kind of went with the lesser expensive and also easier to handle, smaller rectangular bales. So we bought a baler to do that kind of work, and we have, like I say, the pasture land out there, which is really rough. It's difficult to mow, but our hope is to actually get it recultivated into a proper hay field, or not all of it, a good portion of it, maybe about half of it, and then a portion for pasture land. And then the hay we actually harvest off the property, of course, we'll use for the livestock and store in the what will eventually be a loft up there. Good morning. It's now Saturday, the 9th of February, and the video footage I took yesterday, I arranged it last night, editing it, putting it together, and uploading it, and of course learned a few things. First thing I learned is that I do not have a very good quality video editing software available. So, but having said that, it did seem to do the job. I just need to learn how to use it. So that's okay. I'll play with that for a little while and probably someday make an investment into a higher quality product to see how it goes. And the other thing was, I originally ended the video quite abruptly, and it's not really what I'm looking for. So I'm going to edit this portion in right now as an ending to the first video. And had a lot of fun making it, and hope you've enjoyed watching it. And if you're interested in following along with the homestead, please do. We're expecting baby goats in the spring, baby sheep in the spring, baby alpacas in the spring, and of course there's lots going on, just getting the whole homestead up and running, getting the house finished, looking at having to fence off our pastures from our hay fields, gardening, of course. We're interested in putting in a fairly extensive garden in the property to produce our food for the year for the family. Yeah, so there's a whole lot going on there. And if you find that interesting, please tune in. Also, if you have any comments or observations or recommendations or constructive criticism, please add them in the comments below. And yeah, that'd be great. So thanks for watching, and God bless. Take care.